Hello, it's me, Kaleb Kraus, back for the next episode of Racing the Field with Kaleb Kraus. Today's episode, we have plenty to talk about, including a look at this year's NCAA tournament, and not to mention a little reaction from this past weekend's NASCAR Cup Series race at Bristol Motor Speedway. First off, who's going to be the 2024 Kings of March Madness? Will UConn repeat? Does Purdue avoid another letdown? Can Tom Izzo and the Michigan State Spartans make a run? All those questions and more, as we will also feature a new guest segment with Michael Kraus joining me on today's show. March Madness. What else can be said? It's that time again, and looking at the bracket, there's quite a few things that stand out. First off, let's take a look at the number one seeds. Purdue came up a little short in the Big Ten tournament, losing in the semifinal round, but they still managed to grab a number one seed in the Midwest region. Given their recent history in the NCAA tournament, some might fear they could have some problems. They've had easy paths before, but never could even take advantage of those easy paths. Just look at the last two seasons. 2 years ago, they were a 2 seed and got upset by a 15 seed. Then there's last season. They were a number 1 seed and lost to arguably the worst team in NCAA history when they lost to 16-seeded They lost to a 16-seeded Farley Dickinson. Elsewhere, other 1 seeds, the defending national champion Connecticut Huskies, were able to take the top overall number 1 seed in the East region, after they were able to disperse Marquette in the Big East tournament final. Houston fell to the Iowa State in a rather shocking result in the Big 12 tournament in a blowout, but they were still able to grab the number 1 seed for the South region. As for the final number 1 seed, despite getting upset by rival NC State in the ACC tourney final, which was a major bid steal for the Wolfpack, the North Carolina Tar Heels are the final number 1 seed in the South region. The West region. Despite plenty of bid stealing over the weekend, the bracket's bubble played out pretty smoothly. Michigan State and its fans had plenty of anxiety going into Selection Sunday, but their hope and prayers were answered as Tom Izzo and the Spartans drew a 9 seed in the West region and will play the other MSU. Mississippi State, that is. In doing so, Tom Izzo has now extended his outstanding record as he will lead the Spartans to the NCAA tournament for the 26th consecutive time. That is a proud, proud record. Elsewhere, the Oklahoma Sooner fans and team are pretty disappointed as they fell one spot short of being in the field this year. They were that one team that got edged out by Virginia for the final spot in the 68-team field. There's no doubt this year's tournament's going to be crazy. Field feels like it's really open and anyone could take advantage of that. UConn and Purdue might be the front runners, but it is March Madness and anything can happen. It's going to be wild. I'm going to take a slight break here, but when I come back, we'll have a little bit of a talk about this past Sunday's NASCAR Cup Series Food City 500 at Bristol. Sunday's race at Bristol had plenty of drama, as the race looked and felt like Bristol races of old. The tire wear and passing was simply incredible. In fact, a record was set for the number of passes for the lead. Previous was 40 in a race in 1991, but that was easily broken with 54 different lead changes on Sunday. Those 54 lead changes included and also saw 16 different drivers were able to be out front during the course of the 500 lap race. It felt like an old school short track race, and it's exactly how it should be. That wasn't the only record setting moment from this past weekend's race. It's also the first race in 20 years where only 5 cars finished on the lead lap. The last time that happened was in 2004 at Dover, a race Mark Martin won. Conserving tires was the name of the game, and the top 10 finishers proved that, as Denny Hamlin held off the others for his 52nd career victory. After climbing from his car victorious, Hamlin admitted via his post-race interview with Fox Sports' Regan Smith that the way the race played out was right up in his wheelhouse. That's what I grew up doing here on the short tracks of the whole Mid-Atlantic, South Boston, Martinsville, all those tracks. Just what I grew up doing, Hamlin admitted. Once it became a tire management race, I really liked our chances. But obviously, the veteran in Martin Truex, that is, he knew how to do it as well. We just had a great car, great team. The pit crew did a phenomenal job all day. I can't say enough about that. Man, it feels so good to win at Bristol, Hamlin said. And when he did. That race had plenty of interesting moments. But before NASCAR freaks out about the tire fall off, they need to remember this is what the racing needs to be like. With that in mind, we'll have one more break, and when we come back, Mr. Michael Kraus will join to share his thoughts about the NCAA tournament, and we'll also get his thoughts on Sunday's Bristol race and where he thinks NASCAR stands. And we're back with our first ever guest segment in the history of our show. Yeah, this is only the second episode of the show's history, but felt like giving someone else a chance to speak their mind on the show. So, without further ado, please welcome Mr. Michael Kraus to the podcast. Glad to have you on the show, Mike.
Thanks, Caleb. It's great to be your first guest.
All right. Well, we've been talking about the NCAA tournament a lot today. So, what do you think of it? This year's field.
I think there was a lot of bid stealing this year, which is good. I think number 1 seeds were well picked.
Which region do you think looks the toughest?
I say the West region.
Yeah, there's quite a lot of big name brands in that region. What do you think of Purdue's chances this year, given their recent run of bad luck in the NCAA tournament?
They don't have a very good run in the tournament. So I think they may make it to the third round.
Sweet 16.
Sweet 16 against Kansas.
Jayhawks.
Yep.
It'd be interesting if we do get a Hunter Dickinson, Zach Edey matchup. That's for sure.
That would be good. Good matchup.
Staying focused on the Big Ten here. What do you like about Michigan State's chances in their 26th consecutive NCAA tournament?
I think they'll have a rough way to go. They play Mississippi State.
Yeah.
So that's going to be a tough game. And after that, I think if they
get past the Bulldogs, likely a matchup with the Tar Heels.
Yes, with the Tar Heels.
Yeah, it's been a rough stretch for the Spartans, for sure.
Yes, it has. But I wish them the best of luck.
What are your thoughts on that, on the 26-year streak of tournament runs for Tom Izzo?
Last few years, he's had a rough go. He's recruited some good players, but they haven't gelled like
teams of Tom Izzo teams of old.
Yes.
Certainly going to be another tough year in the tournament for him, but they pulled off some miracles the last tournament run. Malik Hall is certainly going to be a big factor in how far they get, won't he?
Yes, and if Walker, he's going to have a big say in this year's tournament.
He's going to have to. A.J. Holgard's going to have to play.
He's got to
play smart.
Cut down on his turnovers.
Yeah, for sure.
And the big men are going to have to play above and beyond this year.
Exactly. Well, thanks again for talking a little bit about March Madness. Now I'm going to talk a little bit about this past weekend's NASCAR race at Bristol. What'd you think, first off?
I think it was good racing.
A lot of passing.
I
haven't seen that in a long time.
Which is good. But I think Goodyear needs to tweak the tires a little bit. They don't need to go back to the same old tires. They just need to tweak the tires a little bit.
Yeah, because it was a little crazy. The tire wear was how much the tires were recording.
Right.
How quickly they were. It kind of reminded me of the 2008 Indiana Brickyard 400, sorry.
Right, where only they could get 10 laps in.
Yeah. Luckily, it was a short track and it didn't get that extreme, but I'm sure NASCAR's going to try to do something with it.
I hope so.
Yeah.
Did have a good show, except the tires. Tires kind of played out a big part in it.
Certainly certain drivers were able to execute.
Right. The older drivers that are used
to raced back when tire wear was a big part of the sport.
Right.
Were able to.
You could see that they came out.
Shine. Meanwhile, some of these newer drivers that have been having success kind of really struggled.
Very true.
I want to take. My next question is about NASCAR and the sport as a whole. Do you feel like it's in a good place? They still need work?
It still needs work. They're losing the fan base.
I mean, they brought in a whole different demographic than they've ever before with the success of the Netflix series. Hopefully they continue using that platform to further push to new demographics. But you are right with their short track package. The race in Phoenix attested to that. That was right now. That's the worst race of the season, in my opinion.
Right, you're right.
And for the championship to be decided there later in the season, they're definitely going to have to change something or because I don't see Toyota's dominated Phoenix, but there's no way they're going to have the 4 drivers going for the titles all going to be Toyota, right?
Right.
So something's got to change.
I look for the Chevys to be up there in the end.
What do you think of Ford so far this year? They've struggled. Chevy and Toyota have shown their power. I mean, there's a few Fords that have shown something, but
the Fords will come around. They always do at the end. Can't say they're out.
Right.
They'll be there in the end.
What's your thoughts on where Chase Elliott stands thus far?
I think he's got.
I mean, he was able to finally get his first top 10 of the season yesterday.
Right. You're right. I think he's struggling a little bit, heading in the right direction. He's got some I'd say some mental aspects. I'm going to say bad
luck.
Bad raps
About him.
Way other drivers
talk about him or think of
them and how they treat him on the track nowadays.
And you're seeing that a lot more with a lot of the drivers. It's like a lot of them have no respect for anyone.
Yes, the respect in NASCAR is gone. That should be taken care of from NASCAR itself. You know the drivers ain't going to take care of it.
Right.
NASCAR needs to step in and take care of it.
Because you're even seeing that problem at the lower series.
Right.
You got older truck drivers wanting to go out and fight these young kids that are coming up, and that's not a lot of these young truck racers are pretty talented. It's not like they're rubbing them veterans the wrong way. It's like,
yeah, they're rubbing them the wrong way. They got attitudes.
Not all of them.
Most.
Is it right for a 40-plus-year-old driver to go out and deck a 20-something?
Well, if that 20-something rubbed them wrong, I don't see why not straighten them out.
Well, in my opinion, there's not enough.
There's no respect for these new young drivers for others.
That, and there's no, I think, my opinion, the truck series lack. Veterans ain't willing to.
Because they're tired of getting beat up.
I guess that's just how the sport goes now. Well, it's been great. Thanks for coming on.
No problem. Go green. Mike Kraus.
Well, that was Mike Kraus. It's nice to hear a little bit of his thoughts on some of this weekend's ongoings and the state of the NCAA tournament and NASCAR as a whole. It's been a great second episode. We'll catch you on the flip side next time. Thanks for tuning in. Have a good day.